come to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mandy, would you please call the roll?
Dion.
Here.
Ravenhorst.
Here.
Butler.
Here.
Carlstone.
Here.
Van Stryland.
Here.
Hopkins is absent.
Okay, the City Council has adopted a code of civility. As elected officials, we pledge to promote civility through extending respect to others, listening to understand and disagreeing without disrespect, engaging collaboratively, and speaking up to address incivility. Just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast for Pella TV. So anyone who wishes to speak to council, please approach the microphone over there before you start speaking, so that those at home or those that are listening can hear you and see you on TV. So before we get into our meeting tonight, I wanted to take a minute in light of what happened a couple weeks ago at our state baseball and state softball tournaments here in Iowa. I wanted to take a moment and recognize the incredible accomplishments that has happened by our high school kids in this community over the last school year. So thanks to Andrew Snyder, who helped me out here, because the list was going to be quite, in fact, this is Andrew's email me. I asked him, I said, I'd kind of like to know, state qualifiers, and just to get a list. So this is the list of all of that. So I can't take the time to go through everything. So Andrew, your work wasn't in vain. I really appreciate it. I tried, from memory, I knew I would miss something, but just a quick list. These are state championships that our athletic and some of our fine arts teams have accomplished over the course of this last year. So Pella girls cross country was a state champion. Obviously Pella baseball was a state champion. Pella softball was a state champion. Won within a day of each other, so pretty exciting. Our jazz band was a state champion for like 25 out of the last 28 years, whatever that is. An amazing run. Pella Christian girls track was a state champion, and Forte was a state champion in the military category. So those are all the team state championships that this community produced over the last school year, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. And there were a lot of qualifiers for state and a lot of other sports too. And then I just wanted to make note, we also had 3 state runner-ups, teams that finished second place. So Pella football finished second at state, Pella volleyball finished second at state, and Pella boys track finished second at state. So phenomenal year. When I go around and people ask me about Pella, I'm always proud to talk about our community, but I'm certainly proud of the young people in our community and the effort. Being a coach for as long as I was, I have a really good understanding how much work it takes to excel at a sport or dance or jazz band. So the amount of time that these kids put in to excel, pretty phenomenal. So I just want to make sure the public recognize that. And one last thing, one of the fun things I get to do as mayor is in the spring, Pella has an awards night, a senior awards night. And I'm invited there to talk to the seniors about their community volunteer time that they spend. So just this last year, this was in April of this year at the awards night, but there were 69 seniors who participated in 7,068 3/4 hours of volunteer time. And of those 69 students, 57 of them completed at least 100 hours of volunteer time. So we have a lot of reasons to celebrate this community, but young people are a big, big part of it. I think it's a reflection on the families that live, work, and play here. So just wanted to take time to recognize all of that wonderful accomplishments of our young people. These are just high school. I know I read Little League teams are winning national championships and everything else, so it's not just our high school kids, but pretty cool that Pella's name is out there with all this success. So thanks for indulging me. So we'll move on. Can I get a motion for approval of the tentative agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Brander, Horst, and Stryland, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Motion passed. I would like to reappoint Patsy Cody to the Community Development Committee. She has served on this committee since 2003 and has attended 20 of the 23 meetings held during her term. If approved, her new term would expire on August 1, 2028. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Brander, Horst, DeYoung, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. I would like to reappoint Alyssa Grandia to the Community Development Committee. She has served on this committee since 2022 and attended 19 of the 23 meetings held during her term. If approved, her new term would expire on August 1, 2028. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Carl Stone and Stryland, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. I'd like to reappoint Mike Kaiser to the Community Development Committee. He has served on this committee since 2003 and has attended 15 of the 23 meetings held during his term. If approved, his new term would expire on August 1, 2028. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Brander, Horst, Carlstone, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
And one more appointment. I would like to reappoint Mark Vandenord to the Building Code Board of Appeals. Vandenord currently serves as one of the 2 extraterritorial appointments as required under code. He has served on this board since 2015. Should note the Marion County Board of Supervisors have approved this reappointment. If also approved by the council, his new term would expire on August 1, 2030. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Van Strylen, Carlstone, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. This time we have opportunity for public comments. If you would like to address council concerning any agenda items, please come forward, state your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes if possible. Just want to make a note, I know we're going to talk about the dog park and policy and planning. I'll give opportunity to make some comments then when we talk about that, if you want to talk about the dog park. If there's anything else on the agenda you want to comment on, now's the time to do that. All right, moving on, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
DeYoung, Brander, Horst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Okay, we're moving into a public hearing on the proposal to lease certain facilities at the Pella Municipal Airport to Classic Aviation. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. For those in attendance and those watching at home on Pella TV, I'd like to for your attention to the big board for a brief presentation on this item. As Mayor DeWart stated, tonight's public hearing is a proposed lease with Classic Aviation. Classic Aviation serves as a fixed-base operator at the Pella Municipal Airport. They're also the airport manager at the airport as well. Now, the term of the lease that we're discussing this evening is a 5-year lease that was expiring, council approved in the year 2030. Now, we have listed up on the board the facilities that Classic will be leasing from the city in accordance with the lease, and they'll be actually operating their business out of these facilities. So let's go ahead, please, Mandy. Okay. As we stated, the new lease would be for a term of 5 years, and it also includes a provision, and it's a little different. Basically, the one new item that we have with the current lease is that in order to provide public access or public Wi-Fi access to the terminal building, we're going to be sharing part of the internet bill with Classic Aviation. It equates to about $50 a month for the City of Pella. And the prior lease, we did have the obligation to provide one telephone line out at the terminal building. We've eliminated that, and we're going with Pella Fiber and sharing Wi-Fi access, so there's no additional cost to the City of Pella. Now, based off the feedback staff has received from the airport committee is extremely pleased with the services Classic Aviation provides for the services they provide. In addition, we've also received several positive comments from our corporate users as well. And as a result, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of the proposed lease this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any written comments?
No written comments.
Council, comments, questions? Any member of the public have a comment or question? All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. DeYoung, Van Strylen, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving now to the resolution number 6893 entitled Resolution Approving Pella Municipal Airport Fixed Base Operator Lease with Classic Aviation. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Van Strylen, was that Butler? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Motion passed. We need to reschedule a regular council meeting on November 4, 2025 to November 3, 2025 due to the local election. Anything to add to that?
No, sir.
Okay. I get a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Vanderhorst, DeYoung, any discussion? All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on, resolution number 6894 entitled Resolution Approving Change Order Number 1 to the Soccer Complex Improvements Project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, once again, I'd like to refer everyone's attention to the big board, and Mayor DeWart stated, the resolution we have this evening would approve change order number 1 for the city's soccer complex project. As council is aware, this is largely to install an irrigation system, a new irrigation system at the soccer complex. During the course of repairs at the irrigation system, it was discovered that the subdrain was too shallow. We needed to add additional subdrain to the project. The cost of that is roughly just over $27,000. Council order approved this change order. We did a revised contract of $790,768.80. It is important to note that the project engineer Snyder and Associates is recommending approval this evening. And staff is also in agreement with approval of the change order. With that, we'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Vanderhorst and Strylen, any discussion or questions? How's the progress coming?
Actually, I'd like to have Mr. Kevin Boss address that question.
The progress?
Obviously, we've had a little rain.
Yes. That working? How's it going now?
There
There
we
we
go.
go, out of here. Yes, with the rain in the last 3 to 4 weeks, we've had a little bit of delay for about 2 weeks. So they are a little bit behind schedule, but still within the window of opportunity to finish the major portion of the work in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So we're getting there. We just need dry weather for about 4 weeks.
Got a week of it so far.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Anything else, council? All right, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6895 entitled Resolution Making Award of Contract for the Hazel Street sidewalk addition Elm Street to Park Lane project, Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. As Mayor DeWart stated, what this resolution would do is approve a contract for the construction of the Hazel Street sidewalk project. And just to explain this project, what's being proposed is a sidewalk on the eastern side of Hazel Street. To orientate everyone, to the south is Elm Street, it's located right here. The sidewalk, the path would be on the east side, it's a spread highlighted area. The new Timberview subdivision is located right up here, and the East Park Lane is located right over here. The overall project involves approximately 1,300 linear feet of sidewalk addition, as well as there will be one retaining wall that's part of this project as well. So let's go ahead, Heidi, and we'll cover the bid results that we had on there. We received 2 bids on them. Both of them were under the engineer's estimate. The low bidder on the project is TK Concrete, amount of $80,699. Our engineer on the project, which is Garden and Associates, is recommending awarding the project to TK. Staff is also in agreement with this recommendation. Council were to approve this resolution this evening. We believe final completion on this project would occur by mid-October of this year. So with that, that concludes the staff presentation this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support Randy DeYoung. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6896, entitled Resolution Approving Engineering Services Agreement with the Garden and Associates Limited for the Oskaloosa Street Reconstruction Project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As Mayor DeWart stated, what we're proposing this evening is an agreement with Garden and Associates for an engineering services agreement for the reconstruction of Old Highway 163 or Oskaloosa Street from Southeast 16th Street all the way up to 248th Place. Just to orientate everyone, when you look at it, the project is going to start right here on Oskaloosa Street. Connect Church is located right over here. Pella Christian High School is over here, and the new Pella Indoor Recreation Center will be somewhere up over here as well. But what the project involves is a significant portion of reconstruction of the street. If you were to drive out there right now, what you see is the typical rural cross-section. We're planning on making this an urban cross-section, so it'll be looking like a regular city street. Now, as a part of this project, there'll be a significant amount of storm sewer that's going to be added to the project as well. Now, let's go ahead, please, Heidi, and move to the second page. The contract that we're considering this evening has an approximate cost of $220,000. When you look at the overall cost of this project, it's going to be about a $1.9 million project on as well. Engineering fees are about 11% of this, but I'd like to highlight we've had a very good relationship with Garden, and they work very well with the City of Pella. And you may have noticed in the staff memo said that the project would be completed in 2027. We talked to Garden today, and we're going to try to get this completed in 2026. It's important that this project does move and we keep on schedule with the project to have it completed in 2026. With completion of the rec center in 2027, we'd like to have this project behind us as well. So Garden will make every effort along with city staff to get this done, but it is important to note since we are using federal funds on this project, they're forecasted to cover about 80% of the construction costs on the project. We're going to have to work within the confines of the DOT letting process. So we're going to be pressed for time frame to get this project done, but we'll make every effort on this, and Garden stepped up to the plate, moving this completion date up to somewhere right in 2026 with the hope of getting this project done in calendar year 2026. So with that, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of the contract this evening. I'm more than happy to answer any questions the council may have on this item.
All right, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Van Strylen and Carlstone, any discussion? Are we gonna consider a roundabout at that intersection?
That is a.
Please do, we need a roundabout in Pella.
I'd like to have Brad answer that question. I would like to preface it with it. I'll chime in. When we talked about the schedule, what we're gonna have to weigh out is the schedule is contingent upon as long as there's no additional right-of-way being purchased for the project. And I'll let Brad address the issues, not the issues, but the benefits and also the possible say requirements for a roundabout. So go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, we did say, it's potentially a good spot to look at a roundabout. So there will be a preliminary look at that, but it would most likely require additional right-of-way there at the intersection, which would probably push it into a 27 project rather than a 26 project, so.
My comment is a lot of people in the US don't know how to build roundabouts. they make them too small. A lot of truckers just get totally frustrated.
Yeah.
If you look at Europe, they know how to build a right-of-way.
Oh, boy.
Most Americans don't know how to build them. And we've got Vermeer right there, so it'd be hard to get my vote on a right-of-way if they look like quite a few of them that I've seen.
At a minimum, there will probably be a right and left turn lane from all 4 directions to try to speed up the traffic.
I could support that.
Yeah.
I have confidence that Garden and Associates knows how to do a roundabout the right way. I drive around them all over the suburbs of Des Moines and everywhere else.
Yep.
I love them.
But not with a semi. No.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Vanderhorst,
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6897 entitled Resolution Approving Engineering Service Agreement with Garden and Associates Limited for the Community Center Alley Reconstruction Project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As Mayor Ward stated, a very similar agreement in another contract with Garden and Associates. This one's for the reconstruction of the alley that is between the Pella Public Library and the city's community center. The initial plans that we have for reconstruction of the alley is to replace it with a brick alley. We do have the necessary brick on hand to do that as well. So, Heidi, let's go ahead. Now, the contract that we're considering this evening is roughly $75,000. It's about 15% of the total cost of the project. When we find that in line, there's a certain amount of base engineering services that you have to do for these public improvement projects. Generally, on these lower cost projects, it usually means a higher percentage of the engineering fees. But looking at the complexity of the project, we believe the fees are reasonable as well. Now, very similar to the Oskaloosa Street project, we have another project that we're going to try to get done in 2026. This would be at the same time the construction is going on at the city's community center as well. We've been in communication with engineers on the community center. They do not believe they're going to need the alley for construction purposes to do the community center. So these two construction projects should not conflict. The goal would be to have this project done in time before the community center is ready to be reopened to the public in 2027. So once again, we have another project that we're trying to get done in 2026. And in summary, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of the contract this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Vanderhorst and Stryland, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst,
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6898 entitled Resolution Approving Change Order Number 1, Final Quantity Adjustment for Accepting the Public Improvements for the Kiwanis Park Phase 3 Site Improvements Project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Once again, I'd like to refer everyone's attention to the big board for a brief presentation of this item. Mayor Ward stated this resolution would accept the improvements to Phase 3 of the Kiwanis Park improvements, and we do have a picture of the improvements up on the board as well. In addition, we have a small change order that is associated with the project. If council were to approve this resolution, we would be accepting the public improvements this evening, as well as approving the change order, and we have a final construction contract in the amount of $222,368.25. It is important to note the engineer on the project, Snyder and Associates, is recommending approval this evening, and staff is in agreement with the recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
Support.
Carlstone, Brandenhorst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Carlstone,
Yes.
Vanderhorst,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6899 entitled Resolution Determining the Necessity and Setting Dates of a Consultation and Public Hearing on a Proposed Fox Ridge Urban Renewal Plan for Proposed Urban Renewal Plan Area in the City of Pella. City of Pella, State of Iowa. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. As Mayor Ward stated, what we're doing this evening is simply setting the public hearing date for September 16th on a proposed urban renewal district. And the urban renewal district that we have is kind of this purplish blue area that we have located here. This is the Fox Ridge Housing Development. West 12th Street, that's the new street that we have located, is located right down here as well. Now, they're setting and establishing an urban renewal district is usually the first step in an economic development transaction that would also be proposed to develop developers at Fox Ridge as well. There'll be more details to share on September 16th, and all we're doing this evening is simply authorizing and initiating the project. We're establishing the public hearing date, and we're also authorizing staff to initiate the process and establishing an urban renewal plan for the city of Pella.
All right, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Ben Stryland, Branderhorst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes, opposed no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Dan Stryland.
Yes.
Vanderholt.
Yes.
Catlin. Charleston.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6900 entitled Resolution Fixing Date for a Public Hearing on the Proposal to Enter into a Development Agreement with Dingham and Concrete Construction, Inc., and providing for publication of notice thereof. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in explaining this item, as Mayor Ward stated, we're going to be discussing if council were to approve this resolution on September 16th. There's a proposed economic development agreement with the Fox Ridge development. Now, overall, what the developer is proposing is additional housing for the city, which we believe is necessary, it's needed for the city rather. On there, we do have a picture of the overall housing layout for this area. Very similar, well, it is located within confines of the urban renewal area that we discussed in the previous resolution. Now, in essence, what's going to be proposed on the 16th is reimbursing the developer for the property taxes that were received from the development over time with this up to the amount of $949,000. Now, that amount is the estimated cost of the public infrastructure that the developer will be building and dedicating to the city of Pella. So there'll be more details to be shared on the 16th. And really what we're doing with this is just setting the public hearing date for September 16th to discuss the proposed development agreement.
All right, can I get a motion for approval?
Support.
Carlstone, Branderhorst, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes, opposed no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Charleston.
Yes.
Vanderholt.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Dan Stryland.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6901 entitled Resolution Approving Change Order Number 1 with Stall Construction for the Pella Indoor Recreation and Aquatic Center Project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item, and as Mayor Ward stated, what's being proposed this evening is change order number 1 for the Pella Recreation Center, Indoor Recreation Center. In essence, what this is additional fill for the site. It was determined that through soil testing that the soils did not meet the project specifications. Our engineer on the project, Shai Hattery, is recommending approval of the change order on the project. So Heidi, if we could please go ahead and talk a little bit about the contract. Started off with the original construction contract at $29,969,000. The next change order is an amount of $99,750. The council order approved the change order this evening, and we'd be left with a revised contract amount of $30,060,750. Now, it is important to note that this change order was reviewed by Mr. Bob Beansher that is in attendance this evening. If you don't mind, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have Bob address the council and more background information on this change order as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's important underneath the building slab of the rec center that we have soil that doesn't swell and shrink, that increases the potential for cracking. So it's important that you have a soil that doesn't change characteristics based on moisture level. They originally thought that they could find the soil on site. It turned out to be a lot more elusive than what they thought, and after looking at it, it was kind of a balancing act. Do we do a change order to make sure we've got really good soil underneath it? Or do we use the soil that's there that's kind of on the margins? Some met it, some was a little outside of the tolerances. And I think the sense of both Shai Hattery and the staff and myself was that given the investment in the rec center, that it made sense to do the best you can to prevent any floor cracking or anything else that would result. This is not a structural issue. The building isn't going to change. This is really right under the floor slab. But it seemed like in a gymnasium and some of those environments, important to do everything you can to prevent any premature cracking of it. So this change order is really, in a way, preventative. It's trying to get the best material in there to prevent any kind of cracking. Now, there can be no guarantee that something isn't going to crack, because concrete has a tendency to do that, but at least you mitigate it to the extent possible by using the best material you can, so the soil isn't really contributing to the problem. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Anybody have any questions for Bob?
I don't have a question, I just have an observation and a quick comment. Bob, I agree with you. After spending 3 years studying the soil for the Charles Farver Park, and Mike and I talked about this to a large extent, when you're inviting the public into city property, you have to make sure of that soil structure before you put the taxpayers' money into something. So this is a type of change order that I applaud, that you're overlooking this project for us. So you found it, and we're gonna eradicate it so we can build the best structure possible.
I'll just make one quick observation. Soils in Iowa are really good for corn and beans. They're not so good for buildings.
Amen. Thank you, Bob.
Does this go into the pool portion as well as going into the flat?
This does not go into the actual deep portion of the pool, because that portion of the pool is deep enough where we're below that area where the material would have this tendency to move. So this is really the shallow part of it. And what we're doing with this change order is we're not putting it down in the pool deck, in the pool area, because otherwise they just have to dig it out. So they'll put it under the building, then they'll dig the pool out, and then they'll put it around the deck area, but not in the pool itself, because that's really based in the deeper foundation and wouldn't be subject to that kind of movement.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. I forgot, have I asked for a motion yet? No. How about a motion?
So,
Support. Vanderhorst, DeYoung, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes, opposed no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Yeah, we should have noted that there was around a $900,000 contingency in the numbers, the original numbers in the bid numbers, so hate to use $100,000 of it this early, but this is a wise use of part of it. Moving on, resolution number 6902, entitled Resolution Approving Acceptance of Land Interest and Authorizing Execution of Documents, Transfer of Funds, and Recording of Instruments related to the University Street Extension Project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item, and what we're simply proposing this evening is to buy the necessary right-of-way for the proposed University Street right-of-way extension. Tonight, with this resolution, if council were to approve it, we'd be buying all right-of-way necessary for the extension of University Street from 240th Avenue up to 250th Avenue. About 7.5 acres. The proposed purchase price is $320,660. And we do have the various parties where we would be buying the right-of-way from located up here. We also have a schematic design of the University Street right-of-way extension. With this, along with the baseline drive extension that would connect up to the north on University Street. It is important to note on the University Street Extension project, Harding & Associates is the engineer on the project. If council would approve, proceed with this project, which we are recommending this evening, we plan to bid this project hopefully in January/early February of next year for calendar year 2026 construction on University Street and Baseline Drive. So with that concludes the staff presentation this evening.
All right, thank you, Mike. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Ireland Carlstone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I have a question. It looks like there's a curve in University Street. Is there a little, and why would that be?
I'd like to have Brad Udemark, our engineer on the project, answer that question.
Yes, as you get to the east side there of the sports park, there was right-of-way purchased back in, I don't know what year it was, when the sports park was built. A 70-foot right-of-way purchased along with that for secondary access out to the east, to the county line that has never been constructed previously. So we have a situation where we have the existing University Street right-of-way to the west, and the city already has a right-of-way in place to the east, so.
Since it's already come up, is that little corner right there a decent spot for a roundabout? With no trucks going. So we can make it a little bit, slow kids down that road.
You have to buy more land.
At the extension of University, we could put a roundabout on the west side. You wouldn't be subject to your semi-traffic at that one. That answer your question, John?
There's just a lot
Yeah.
of, a lot of cars stacked up coming out. Baseline there on the north, might be over fluid. Just might maybe some functionality there.
Are you talking about at the north end of the baseline? You know, one thing with the street extension, it certainly improves the accessibility of the current sports park. Right now, we're one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
So it's gonna alleviate a ton of traffic pressure, I think. I don't know that's how significant of a jog that is.
You're talking about.
The little curve there.
Yeah, as far as a roundabout, you mean?
No, not around,
Intersection?
just
Okay,
wondering,
sorry.
it's not much of a curve there, right?
Right, no, it's a slight offset the street.
Yeah.
You've got that on University Street farther to the west
Yeah.
as well. So-
Well, it'd be probably less than what's by the tennis facility.
Oh, yes, yeah, certainly. It'd be closer to what's over kind of by Madison's school over there. There's a slight offset in the street there as well. So.
Well, this has been a long time coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that we are at a point where, and I would be remiss if I didn't publicly thank Vermeer Manufacturing, who played a huge role in securing some of the some of the land that we needed the right of way for, from potentially having an issue with the right of way. So once again, our corporate partners work quite well with us as a city to make these kind of things happen. So I want to make sure that everybody understands the importance of what they did for us here to make it a kind of a seamless transition. And it's been a while coming because of the fact that we have a federal grant of $1 million for this project. So we had to do a little extra environmental work and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's all completed and our grant has been approved. And once we start building, we'll be able to draw those funds. So this is an important first step. So let's see, do we need to vote? Or we already voted? Yeah, we're done. Okay. All right, moving on, resolution number 6903 entitled Resolution Authorizing.
You need to call them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The motion.
Sorry. All right, we need to vote. We do need to vote.
Yes.
We need to call the roll. So all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Dan Stryland.
Yes.
Carl Stone.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6903 entitled Resolution Authorizing Advancement of Costs for an Urban Renewal Project and Certification of Debt Incurred by the City for reimbursement under Iowa Code Section 403.19. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item. And as Mayor Ward stated, what we're simply filing is a reimbursement resolution that's required under Iowa law for tax increment financing projects. A little bit of background on this. This project is located in the west side urban renewal district for the City of Pella. Quick Start is planning on building a new station right at this interchange. This is the northbound ramp at Highway 163. Washington Street is located right here. We're going to be widening the streets as well as installing traffic signals at this intersection. Those traffic signals are actually set to be installed this October as well. So when we look at the overall cost of the project, it's right around $900,000, and we're talking about the Washington Street public improvements, and traffic signals, plus the lane widening of this. Quick Start is going to be paying $450,000 for those off-site improvements, with the city paying the other half of this. What we're going to do is we're going to capture valuations from the new Quick Start building once we start paying property taxes. But initially, we're going to have to advance funds from that. And so what this resolution would allow us to do is have an interfund loan from the electric utility over to the West Side Urban Renewal District for the city's share of the cost of this project. And we'll pay back the electric utility once the funds are received through property taxes from the new Quick Start building on this as well. So, Mr. Mayor, staff is recommending approval of this resolution this evening.
All right, can I get a motion for approval? DeYoung, Carlstone, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Carl Stone.
Yes.
Dan Stryland.
Yes.
Randall.
Yes.
Butler.
Resolution number 6904, entitled Resolution Declaring an Official Intent under Treasury Regulation 1.150-2 to issue debt to reimburse the city for certain general expenditures paid in certain original expenditures paid in connection with specified projects. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to explain this item, and this is a United States Department of Treasury requirement. If you're going to issue debt for any projects on it, you have to file a reimbursement resolution. And oftentimes on a project, what the city does is we start projects and we make a determination later in the project if we're going to issue debt or not. In order to recapture that, if you do issue debt and reimburse yourselves for funds advanced on the projects, you have to have a reimbursement resolution for the projects. Now, what we have up on the board is listed for 2025 projects as well as 2026 projects. This does include the University Street and Baseline Drive extension projects, which is the lion's share in 2026, but overall these projects total $13.1 million. Now, the city will make determinations individually on each of these projects if we're going to issue debt, but what this reimbursement resolution does, it allows the city at a later date, if we want to issue debt for these projects, we can go back and reimburse ourselves for the funds that we advanced on the project. So once again, this is the United States Treasury Department regulation that we have to meet if we're going to issue debt for any of these projects. And we are recommending approval of the resolution this evening, Mr. Mayor.
All right, can I get a motion for approval?
So moved. Support.
Carlstone, DeYoung, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Carlstone,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution number 6905, entitled Resolution Fixing Date for a Public Hearing on the Proposal to Enter into a Development Agreement and Hangar Ground Lease with Pella Corporation and providing for publication of notice thereof. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just simply put, what we have is proposed public hearing date is September 2nd. On September 2nd, we're going to be proposing a ground lease with Pella Corporation for a ground at the Pella Municipal Airport, as well as a development agreement for the new proposed corporate hangar at Pella Municipal Airport. There'll be considerably more details shared on September 2nd during the public hearing, but really what this resolution simply does is set the public hearing date for September 2nd for both the proposed ground lease as well as the development agreement with Pella Corporation.
Okay. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support. Reindeerhorst, DeYoung, any discussion? All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed. Ordinance number 1075, entitled An Ordinance of the City of Pella, Iowa, amending Chapter 171 of the City Code to update rates and fees. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to explain this item, and we, as previously discussed on this, when we went through the city's budget process, we looked at options for making up, I wouldn't say making up, but dealing with proposed property tax regulations in the state of Iowa. In essence, what this has done is it's really capped the amount of property taxes we can levy to support city operations. And in essence, what we talked about is that what this means likely is for the city is that you have to increase user fees for various activities. What this ordinance would do would increase building permit fees and development fees for the city of Pella by about 30%. The last time we increased the development fees was in 2007, so it's been a number of years. And we believe with this increase that we're still very comparable, not only to the local area, but also the Des Moines metro area as well. Now, what this means for a typical new home in Pella, if it's about a $300,000 home, it'd be about a $500 extra fee, $500 in extra fees paid to the city of Pella. So with this, Mr. Mayor, once again, this increases development fees by about 30%, and it's an additional revenue enhancement to deal with proposed property tax legislation in the state of Iowa. And it is important to note that the Building Code of Appeals approved this ordinance on at the June 2nd meeting, and staff is recommending approval of the ordinance this evening.
All right, thank you, Mike. I think I failed to mention that this is the second reading of this ordinance change. So is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Support.
Reindeerhorst, Van Strylen, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Move to set aside the rules in place on third and final reading.
Support.
Brennerhorst, DeYoung. Any discussion? All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Van Strylen, Branderhorst. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Carlstone,
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion passed. Can I get a motion for approval of abstract bills number 2180?
Move to approve and issue warrants.
Support.
Branderhorst and Stryland. Any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Reindeerhorst,
Yes.
Van Strylen,
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
Motion passed. Anybody on council have any other business you'd like to have addressed this evening?
I would just like to compliment parks and the landscaping around the library has been a train wreck. In the past week, that got cleaned up. That's a huge improvement.
I agree.
Okay,
I would make a recommendation that we get letters out to the people on Columbus, so they know how that project is gonna proceed. I'm hearing questions about how do I get in and out, what kind of access do I have, where's the trash get picked up, on and on. There's a lot of questions. We could have, and on Hazel Street, it would have been great to have gotten a letter out to those folks, because we could have probably cut off a little challenge on that.
or you said
Lincoln,
Columbus,
Lincoln,
you
I
mean
mean
Lincoln,
Lincoln,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, Lincoln. Want to fix Columbus, that's fine. Sorry, Lincoln, I'm
Lincoln,
sorry.
yeah.
Lincoln, yeah. Goodness, I walk up there. Okay, so just, those people have questions and they saw it happen over on Union Street and they don't want to get stranded quite that long, I hope. So,
And Councilmember Butler, just as a matter of protocol, typically we go out and issue the letters once the council approves the contracts for both projects, and then also we have pre-construction meetings. And I believe this next Thursday, not this Thursday, but the following August, well, actually it is this Thursday, we have a pre-construction meeting, Brad, on Lincoln Street on this. So once we have the details from the contractor, we'll be able to put out an information sheet for the public on that section.
Okay.
That's the plan.
all right.
And the same with Hazel Street as well. And Brad, is there anything else you'd like to add on either one of those projects?
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
good questions. Any member of the public have any other business you want to address the council with? Please, if so, come to that microphone, state your name and address. Please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, we'll move into our policy and planning. A discussion regarding change orders related to the Pella Indoor Recreation Aquatic Center project. Mike?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, what we're here to talk about this evening is change order number 2, which simply moves a component of the storm sewer project from the University Street Extension project over to the Pella Recreation Center. And then we also have a policy for smaller change orders that will likely be involved with the Pella Indoor Recreation Center. Well, let's go ahead and talk about change order number 2 that we have in Heidi. You got the diagram up there as well. And I'm lucky I have both of our engineers on the project as well, Mr. Bob Beanstra and Brad Udemark on these projects. But keep in mind, the University Street, the plan was always to let that project, before we did the Indoor Recreation Center, construct University Street before the Indoor Recreation Center was constructed. Well, it's turned out that the projects are just reversed on this. Construction got started on University Street before, on the rec center before University Street. And why this is important, when we let the project for the Indoor Rec Center, the rec center is going to be located right over here. We have the University Street extension over here. The stormwater detention pond on the rec center is located right here. What the plans call for is an outlet to discharge into the University Street storm sewer project. Well, we're actually going to be bidding the project in January or February of next year, and construction will take place in 2026. The dilemma that we have is the contractor is making a lot of progress on the rec center, and there's gonna be significant portions of the parking lot constructed this year, portions of the buildings gonna be constructed yet this year, so we believe that there's gonna be stormwater discharge on the site, and without this project and without moving a portion of the storm sewer project into the rec center project, there's nowhere to discharge the stormwater. Bob, could you elaborate on that for me, please?
The rec center includes a pond that's designed to hold a rainstorm and then discharge. And without that, every time it rains, it's gonna keep adding more and more water to the pond, and eventually it'll overtop it. And it's like any water body, when it gets more water, it just floods the adjoining area, low-lying area, which could be a corner, the northeast corner of the rec center. It could also be a part of the corridor for the University Street project and even some of the farm fields to the north. So without moving this from one project to the other, what we're gonna end up with is a big pond out there this fall over the winter. And then when Brad's project starts in the spring, if nothing's done, we're gonna have a pond out there with nowhere for the water to go. So what we're trying to do with this is simply move it from one project to the other. The funding for the project would stay the same, as I understand it. We would fund this, it was intended to be funded through GeoDebt as a part of the University Street project. We'd move over to the rec center project. So it really doesn't change the funding, doesn't really have much impact on the overall project cost. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned earlier there was a $900,000 contingency. This would not affect that. This is simply kind of a timing issue, that without this, we're gonna have a big pond out there that's gonna be not very manageable. So this, both Brad Udemark and I thought this was a very logical way to be preemptive, get out ahead of the fact that we've got the two projects in reverse order. And by doing this, then we'll get the water over to the natural outlet, which is on the south side of University Street, east of baseline, so we don't have to deal with that. So we don't have flooding in the rec center project, or the University Street project when they start in the spring, or any of the fields to the north. So this is really more of not a cost increase, it's more of a cost change, with the idea to improve the sequencing of construction. That I'm glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Makes sense to me.
And what we'll do is, on the agenda earlier tonight, you had the land acquisition. We wanted to get that out of the way, so this will come back. You'll see this as a change order at your meeting on the 19th to formalize. But we wanted to get a sense of, are we heading in the right direction?
So the way I understand it is that the water from the rec center will drain to the west to that pond.
The water from the rec center drains east to the pond, which is over in the northeast corner. So the pond is over here, the rec center sits over here.
Okay.
So it goes this way, and then the outlet goes over like this,
Okay.
and without the outlet, we're gonna flood this area.
All right, well, thank you. I saw the map. I'm left-handed.
So it ends up, the pond gets drained to the east of Baseline Drive?
Right here on the south, here's baseline.
Yeah.
Here's the pond, here's the natural, there's a culvert crossing of the natural low-lying area. So this storm sewer brings it east across along University Street, crosses baseline, and then discharges at that natural outlet. So it's taking the water from the pond, taking it to where the natural outlet is, it flows overland. So we're just really kind of changing it. Had the projects been in the reverse order like we intended,
Yeah.
we would never have seen this. Brad, you have something you want to?
I was just gonna say, so yeah, it's a piece of storm sewer that's already been designed for the University Street project. So we're not redesigning anything, we're just getting it constructed faster to alleviate the issues of draining the rec center. And actually, if we didn't do it this way, we'd have to do something temporary probably, which would be throw away, so.
We probably spend more money not doing this than we would doing it, because we'd have to deal with what do we do with the uncontrolled flooding.
Yeah, just so we all understand, it's no additional cost to either project, it's just moving timing of it.
One might argue it's kind of like the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Well, I hope we're not saying that.
You're
No,
saying
we're
this
fixing
will
the
keep
ground.
University Street dry.
Right, it will make things easier for the contractor on that project too, because otherwise we'd have a pond full of water to deal with there, and probably have to pump it out in order to make the storm sewer connections, and, yeah.
On the 19th, we're also going to recognize Bob and Brad actually collaborated on this, and we actually have a declaration, emergency declaration for this project, moving from one project to another. That was a legal requirement under Iowa law. So Bob, is there anything additional to add on that? Because we'll also have a separate resolution on that as well on the 19th.
Yeah. Normally, based on the value of the project, we would have to go out and do the public bidding process, similar to what we've done. You had a project earlier where you received bids. But from a timing perspective, if we went through that process of bidding it, we would have lost our advantage of time. We'd be back right on top of the University Street project, and we still would have had that temporary flooding. So Iowa law allows, if there's a situation where you can't really, because of time, go through the normal process, you can do what's called an emergency declaration, which basically, it has to be an engineer. It can't be one who's in the regular employ. I mean, I can't be a salaried employee. I can be a consultant to the city. Can't be a staff engineer. You can do that, declare that. Bond council has sort of, I think, has said
They've
that.
approved it, yes.
They've said it. I've done this a number of times, so I kind of have the words down that they like to see. There's 3 different components that you have to see, and if you do this emergency declaration, then we can avoid the cost and the time delay of bidding it, and we can simply move it by change order from one project to the other. So that's all done, and that's, with that and the land acquisition, that's sort of, we're kind of getting this sequence to get going, along with the dry weather. Now, we can't, if we get a resolution for dry weather, then it won't help.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
I think the second item that we had this evening is to talk about a potential policy, and this deals with smaller change orders associated with the rec center, and discussions with Bob can go in much more detail, but typically on large projects like the rec center, you have an administrative line item that's dedicated for smaller change orders that can be approved administratively. And what this is geared towards, meant to do, is to avoid delays with the rec center project. In other cities such as West Des Moines have policies where they allow staff to approve administrative change orders at a certain dollar amount before they have to go back for council approval. And typically, Bob, I think in discussing this with you, you had stated that usually it's about 1% of the total project, somewhere right around there, but it's up to the discretion of the city. If we did that with the rec center, the amount would be $300,000. As council's aware, we're somewhat averse to change orders in the first place, and so what we're proposing for these smaller change orders is to establish a committee that would initially be made up of Bob and myself, that we establish a certain dollar amount that we could approve for an individual change order to keep the project moving, and we have a maximum that we could go up to. For discussion purposes, we started off with the amount of $10,000. Bob's worked much more closely with the contractors on this. We may need to increase that, but the amount, the cap would be $100,000. And the idea is to be able to administratively approve needed change orders to keep the project moving without having to delay the project and wait to come back to council for every 2 weeks for council approval. So Bob, if you could fill in the details from that.
What we're
please.
really trying to do is we're trying to balance 3 different things. One is we want to keep the project moving. The other is we don't want to necessarily be back every 2 weeks for change orders in front of the council. That's, that historically, that's not how the Pella City Council has chosen to administer projects. I have clients who love to see change orders, the vast majority don't. And so we're trying to say, how do we keep something moving, and also second, not have change orders on every one of your council agendas, and yet be very conscious of the fact that we have a contingency, which is now down to about $800,000. And we don't want to send a message that that's free money to spend, but we also understand that on a project of this magnitude, there are going to be little changes. Some of them are going to be initiated by the architect, some by city staff, some by the contractor. And we've had already kind of a mix. We've had, city staff ask, could we change the gym controller to make it more user-friendly? The architect has said, we need to make this change. The contractor has offered, well, if you do this, we'll give you a credit. So what we're trying to do is to have a manageable method of keeping things moving, and yet let the council know that they have ultimate control over it. So what we're proposing originally was $10,000 and $100,000. I've now seen a number of the first go-around of changes. We're not close to the 100,000, but they've kind of grouped them together. And the grouping has sort of brought it, so most of them are now in the $10,000 to $20,000. Doesn't really affect the total, we're not changing that. But it would be my suggestion, based on what I've seen, that maybe a 20 cap might be more efficient. Doesn't affect the 100, but would keep more things off the council agenda. And what we'll do is in every month, we'll report back as a part of the council information for the council. We'll report back where we are cumulative with all the changes, so you can see them coming along. And then if we get close to that cap, we can have a discussion about what do we want to do. You know, does the council want to pull it back in and approve every change order? Do we want to say we'll add some to that? We'll have to kind of see how that plays itself out over time. But what we're really trying to do is get things going. We already have, you know, a number of changes. Overall, in the magnitude of it, it's not significant. They're the kind of things you typically see at the beginning of a building project. Can we change this? Can we do that? We adjust this. Some of them are things that occurred as a part of the site plan approval process through the city, just a variety of things. And so we're trying to come up with a policy that sort of, the council ultimately has the control. You can tell us at any time, we don't like the procedure, we want to go back to the old way of approving every change order, where you can modify the policy. We're just trying to find a way that's kind of keep the things moving and not clutter up the council agenda any more than we need to for small things that just happen on projects of $30 million magnitude. And yet at the same time, make sure that the council has the ultimate control over the expenditure of funds, so we don't unnecessarily spend money. Is that complicated enough?
Makes sense.
Would it be remiss for us to I'm reading this line that said that on this document that says that this committee is approved by a committee established by the council. Would it be too much for us to ask so that we can be true to the taxpayers who have put the 6 of us in these seats, to ask that a council member also join this committee?
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm not nominating myself, but
Yes, you are.
no. I'm already on 3 committees, but I know at one time Don and I had talked about the potential of having a council member on a committee, and I think that Councilmember Butler has proven to be a master of finance. I guess I'm nominating John. I just feel like we have made a commitment to the taxpayer that we are overseeing the funds, which doesn't mean we all have to, but I would have a lot more comfort in the project if one of us were on there.
And that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, this is all done electronically, so these are gonna be done through like DocuSign. So, you know, you'll see them come around, and that's an opportunity for, you know, Councilmember Butler, if he has any questions, to say, raise his hand before he does it. But if everything, I assume you've now been nominated.
Well,
I didn't really accept this
the
speech,
assignment,
but.
I would accept the assignment, and I apologize for not knowing where to hang the rec center. I keep visualizing that we own the land from Baseline Road all the way to County Line Road, all that land. I looked on the map, there's about 40 acres there that we don't own. To the east,
yes,
of
yeah.
Baseline Road. But I've always visualized the rec center going on that piece of land for some reason, instead of the corner of the, anyway.
So I'm fine. I mean, I think it's having a council member on it is consistent with the intent.
Okay.
Councilmember Randhorst, what we're really trying to do is to make it so that we don't have to go through the
Right.
full council, and say, you
I
know,
just
the way it
take-
goes around, just from a logistical perspective, the way the change orders work.
Sure.
They start with the contractor, they'll go to Shive Hattery, then they'll probably come to me, then they'll go to Mike, and then whoever the council member is, and loop back around. So that's fine.
Perfect.
It's
Thank you.
very consistent with what we were trying to accomplish.
Thanks.
So, oh, go ahead.
So the policy is written, I think the two changes, one change would be to add a council member to the committee. I would suggest for consideration that we might look at 20 for this first go around. We can, if that doesn't work and we need to pull it back down, we can do that at any time.
Okay.
So, yeah, so the policy would say initial members, Mike Nardini, Bob Easter, and John Butler, and 20,000 up to 100. I think that's good.
I think that's my understanding
That's kind
of
of
what I
good.
hear tonight, yes.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah. Thanks, John, I won't nominate you for anything else.
We will.
But the rest.
Again,
At least not till next time.
Exactly.
and it's my understanding we'll have that policy also on the 19th. So you'll see that come back to your agenda along with the change order on the 19th.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. All right, we'll move to a Pella Dog Park discussion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the purpose of this policy and planning session is to discuss the positions of the City of Pella, the Pella Dog Park Association, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as it relates to the proposed dog park that is proposed on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers near North Hillwater, near on Lake Red Rock. And what we have up on the board is the phase 1 of the project. Overall, when we look at the total area that the Corps is going to dedicate to the dog park, it's about 4.2 acres. Phase 1 would be this area right up here, and this would be a future phase that we have. But listed are the various amenities that are associated with phase 1 of the project. The estimated cost of phase 1 is roughly $195,000. Now, as far as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, our staff met with the Corps on the project and listed what they're willing to do to support the project. And as you can see, they're providing a number of services for the proposed dog park, in addition to including the land for the project. Some of the bigger ones that we have is mowing of the site. They're also providing a parking lot for the site as well as snow removal for the project on it. Now let's go ahead, Heidi, excuse me, if we can go to the Pella Dog Park Association. We do have Miss Christy Dykstra in attendance this evening as well that will be speaking on the part of the Pella Dog Park Association. But staff's understanding, when we look at the $195,000 budget, that the Pella Dog Park Association is committed to raising funds above the city's financial contribution of $87,000 for this project, which equates to about $108,000, and is a significant financial contribution to the project. Now, in conversations with the dog park, and staff's understanding that at some point in time they may dissolve as a corporate entity, and the reason for this is they want to avoid having to raise funds to pay administrative costs in the future, such as insurance costs for the organization. So they'd like to be able to dissolve the organization at some point in time. Now, what they are willing to do, in addition to the financial contribution, is they are willing to support organized volunteers for work days at the dog park. However, this is very similar with the Army Corps of Engineers. They are not willing to pick up dog waste on that as well. Which leads us, let's briefly talk about the City of Pella and what's been talked about initially from the city standpoint on this is that the city would construct, we would operate, and we would maintain the dog park. We'd also contribute $87,000 for phase 1 of the project. Now, what this involves from city staff's standpoint is we would do facility checks. We'd also be responsible for repairing any items that would get in the dog park, and we'd also be responsible for picking up dog waste. We anticipate that those duties would take approximately 312 hours a year for the dog park, and we have a labor cost of about $8,000 per year. Now, looking at some of the other costs, we've just done an estimate on this. We believe that our likely operating budget for the dog park for most years should be somewhere right around $15,000 for this as well. In addition, with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they've offered a 10-year lease for the project as well initially on that. It's our understanding that they'd be willing to renew that lease in future years as well. So before we get to talking about additional items, I'll just cover really quick on here. It's important to note in considering the position of the City of Pella making the decision, and ultimately what we're looking for is guidance on this project, that Pella Dog Park has been working for years on this project, and they're also willing to make a significant financial contribution to the project on it. Now, after working with the Dog Park Association on various sites around town, I can tell you it's difficult to site a dog park anywhere near residential property, so please keep that in mind. Also important to note that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is willing to dedicate property for this project and also assist with a lot of the operational duties that are needed for the dog park as well. One item for council's consideration, this is kind of a big picture item. This is, we anticipate this to be a very successful project for the city of Pella. However, the citizens of Pella are not going to be the only ones that would benefit from the dog park. And we should consider as well that when you look at the dog park, we believe that citizens outside of Pella that live in Marion County are going to benefit from this, and also visitors to Lake Red Rock are going to benefit from it as well. And so one of the questions philosophically we should ask ourselves before making a decision on it is it appropriate for the city of Pella to be the only local government financially contributing to this project, or should there be others such as Marion County and other communities in Marion County, should they be contributing as well, both to the operation as well as the financial and initial construction costs of the project. We'll talk more about that here very shortly on this, and so before we get into much more details, Mr. Mayor, if there's no additional questions for me on the brief overview of the project, I'd like to go ahead and turn the floor over to Ms. Christy Dykstra to address the council on any questions that you may have in regards to the Pella Dog Park Association.
Good evening. I'm vertically challenged. All right, my name is Christy Dykstra. I'm currently serving as the president of the Pella Dog Park Association, and I'm really grateful that you have the dog park discussion on the agenda tonight, so thank you for that. I wanted to touch base on a few things that may be concerning to you regarding the dog park. One would be longevity, 2 would be dog waste, and 3 would be dog park maintenance. First, longevity. Our board has been working on this project for 7.5 years. We don't really have any intention of just disappearing once the park is completed. We're passionate about this project, and we would like to stay involved if the city would have us. If disbanding the Pella Dog Park Association would serve to get our volunteers covered under the city's liability or insurance umbrella, we would absolutely consider doing that, but that may not be an option. So we have been looking into other options so that we could stay intact as a 501c3 and yet be insured. So one option that we have been considering is forming some type of an alliance with Spirit of Pella, the Spirit of Pella, so that we could possibly be under their insurance liability. So that is in discussion right now. The second thing is dog waste. Our board is willing to do beautification projects, seasonal pickup, that type of thing. We want to do our part to create a culture of responsibility in the park, and we want the park to be clean and beautiful. The agenda noted that our group wasn't willing to do any dog waste pickup, but we're passionate about this park, and I'm quite certain that our volunteers are going to be out there quite frequently. And yes, we would be doing that just probably like a lot of other dog owners would. Let's see. I spoke today with Bondurant City staff just to kind of get an idea how much of a burden dog waste pickup was for their city staff, and she said not at all. She said no city staff ever picks up dog waste at their park. She said with the exception, occasionally they have these little green waste bags, and sometimes they will see them when they're out mowing, and they'll need to pick it up and throw it away. Maybe somebody's tied it and then left it on the ground, but she said that the guys say that's very rare that that happens. She said they don't have any issues. She said they've pretty much built it and it takes care of itself. She said they have way more positive comments about the dog park than negative. She said they occasionally get a negative comment, and that's usually tied to the fact that when the heavy rains come, they like to close the dog park. So occasionally somebody will call because they want to use the dog park, and it's being, and then it's closed at that time until it can dry out just a little bit. She said, in fact, quote, "It's the least headache-causing park we have." So I thought that was interesting. The third thing was about park maintenance responsibilities. And I just wanted to note, as you did, Mr. Nardini, that we have seen an extraordinary level of cooperation from the Army Corps of Engineers. For years, we've had a challenge of locating a suitable location and a suitable piece of land. And now we have a piece of land that is really ideal for this dog park, thanks to the Corps. And not only will they allow the city to build the park there, they're also going above and beyond to provide much maintenance and other park features. Today I also visited with the Johnson Park and Recs director, who used to be at Marshalltown, where they have a dog park. And so now he is helping see that there's a dog park built in Johnson after a group of residents approached the city in 2023. So they're currently building that park in Johnson. And so we've had a nice visit about that. I talked to him a little bit about what the Corps of Engineers was willing to offer in this deal or in this partnership, and he just said, "Wow, that is a sweetheart of a deal." So as you consider whether or not to move forward with this project, please know that the Pella Dog Park Association does not intend to disappear if the city would like our continued involvement. Know that we are willing to do our part to create a beautiful park, and we are extremely grateful for the collaboration offered by the Army Corps of Engineers. If you have any other questions I can help with, I'd be glad to try. Thank you.
Any questions for Christy?
Has anyone from your organization spoken with Knoxville or the county to see if there was any interest from their communities to walk alongside of this project?
No, we have not, and the reason being is that we hadn't even considered it with Knoxville having their own dog park. I don't know that they would be willing to support one that's between Knoxville and Pella. I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought originally, the city of Pella's main commitment was financial. I mean, I think our city staff is quite busy already. Would it be possible for the people who use the park to be responsible for picking up their waste? I guess that is one of my concerns. I didn't think our staff were gonna be picking up dog waste for one thing. And I think in many ways, I hear from some of our staff, they're quite busy already.
Absolutely.
So that's one of my concerns.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I forgot to mention that really it seems like such a big concern, and I understand that, but most of the dog park people that we visit with say the owners are pretty responsible about picking up after their own dogs. Sure, there are going to be an occasional owner that doesn't, just like the city square, sometimes people don't. Or Fields of Our Future, sometimes people let their dogs run and do irresponsible things. But we want to try hard to create that culture of responsibility so the owners are picking up after their dog, and that is not put on city staff. They have plenty to do. It shouldn't be put on us. But do we want to help with keeping the park beautiful? Absolutely.
In my opinion, this is drug on for so long, I would not try to include other entities. It's just gonna complicate it.
I don't think Marion County is going to come through with any funds if we do ask them. I think we're dreaming.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the one, and Christy, you can't answer this for me. I think this is more of a Mike question. Prior to this meeting, I had asked about dog waste and I had asked about liability, and I'm not seeing that piece that in here, and perhaps that's what you're going to address at this conclusion. It would be difficult for me right now to make an informed decision without knowing the exact liability levels of the Dog Park Association, the Corps, and the community. And that is gotta be kind of a main focus in any sort of partnership.
Yeah, I believe we have the city attorney that's on the line, Emily Duffy.
We do, and there is another person on the line asking to speak as well.
Yeah, so as far as liability on the project at the city, I assume Councilmember Brenda Horst paraphrased for Emily, that if we built the project and there was an incident at the dog park, what type of liability would the city of Pella be obligated under our parks? I'd like to refer that to the city attorney.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good concern to have, and especially if we're having volunteers understanding the direct responsibility of everyone that would be operating, what those expectations are, and what where that the umbrella of liability has. It does open the city up to risk, of course. Whether a dog bites a volunteer, bites a patron, those kinds of things are good questions to have, and things that I think have maybe stalled the conversation to this point. And so I think those are good questions to have and things that need to be answered before we rush into some kind of an agreement.
Emily, with other city parks, as far as the city's immunity under Iowa law for incidents, would the dog park be covered the same as other city parks for incidents in city parks? And would the city still have state immunity in those cases?
So it would be tort immunity, and it depends on the specific facts of the situation, of course. That's unfortunately a very typical lawyer response, and I understand that, but it depends. But certainly there is some immunity available, but not in all circumstances.
Has the Army Corps expressed concern on the liability side of things? It's on their property, it's in Marin County.
I would imagine that would be part of the lease negotiations as well. Was there any?
No, because they said that they would be willing to send park rangers down there, like to check and make sure like patrons are behaving and things. So I didn't get any inclination that they were worried about that. They already have a lot of dogs out there that people bring on the trails and things.
So really the only city part about it is the name, and we're providing the maintenance of it. I mean, it's not city property really.
We have to be leased from the county. We're providing.
That wouldn't make the liability transfer to the city though. Well, I'm no attorney, but.
Yeah, that's the question. Would the city have immunity if there's an incident at the dog park?
Right,
On it as
it happened
well,
on the
being a
city.
city park.
It happened on the city sidewalk, not city property. That'd be an interesting legal.
In the fall, when the curbside is swarming with volunteers planting tulip bulbs, what's the liability there?
What's that?
When volunteers are planting tulip bulbs, what's the liability there?
Brian, I think when we have volunteers for the city, we do have policies under the city for volunteers for those special work days. Is that correct?
We have a form that they sign before they help us. We've just always had a standing agreement with Pella schools when they help us plant tulips. That falls under that contract. But we do have a contract at the Community Services Department if people help out with volunteering.
So when they sign that, Chandler, is it just for that particular day, or is it an ongoing coverage?
The tulip thing was always an ongoing thing.
Okay.
It's been going on for, I think, over 10 years now with the cross-country teams, Pella and Pella Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe we have a yearly form that like you can sign it and then it's good for like a year.
Okay.
No, we have so many people underneath our policy that is included in our policy, and then that form and stuff helps identify those.
Mm-hmm. But is that contingent on being within the city limits proper? That's where I'm having a hard time homing in on this, since this is federal land, we're leasing it, it isn't under our auspice necessarily of jurisdiction.
We'll have to get a clarification from our insurance agent.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to send this on without those details, because they're not little details, they're really the big blaring details. They're not the ones that everyone wants to look at, but they're the ones we're supposed to look at.
I'll get with them and let Alex know so she's aware of what their position is and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, Councilmember Branderhorst, I believe there was an attorney in the Allers Law Firm that worked with us early on in this project, and her name was Maria Brownell. On it, that was looking at that very question with the dog park being constructed outside city limits, would the city still have immunity under Iowa law, even though it was not on city property? So there has been an analysis done there, but I can't call that. Those are very good points, so we'll get that information back to the council.
Well,
If I can add, even as a lessor, the city leasing the property, you still have control over the property as the lease. You have rights to that property, and so that transfers that control over that property and the responsibility of that property. So there is still liability associated with that, even though the city doesn't physically own it. It's leasing it. And so I can certainly follow back up with Maria. She's out this week, and see if she can dig up some of that analysis that she had previously about, outside of city limits and the jurisdiction and the extension of that liability, or the possibility of immunity, and what circumstances that applies.
Okay. Thank you, Emily.
There was somebody on
I would say, Mandy, was there someone else?
Steve Woodhouse is on there. He requested to speak. He is unmuted.
Okay, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, Steve Woodhouse. I don't live in Pella. I own the Marion County Express, the official newspaper, Pella. But I am speaking tonight as the husband of a parks employee. I believe that the Parks Department is taxed enough with enough tasks, let alone losing more time during a day to schlep out to federal land to clean up after other people's dogs. I really don't think that the city should agree to asking its staff to add more duties to its list of responsibilities for a location that is outside the city limits. Thank you for hearing me out.
So I think the question we need to answer tonight is there support enough for this project? If there isn't, if the council's not going to support it, then we can just cease discussing it. If we feel like if you guys feel like you can support it, if all these questions are answered, the liability, insurance, and all that, then we should ask staff to continue to get all what we need, get the documents and everything ready to go. So I think you said, how many years you've been talking about this, or started working on it?
Since the end of 2017.
Yeah, so I took office January 1, 2020. There was a plan for a dog park at where the current tennis facility is, that somebody had spent significant dollars to get designed and everything, and prior to me being part of it, I think council had kind of heard from neighbors and decided that location wasn't going to work. There was another location over on the end of Independence or something up in the northeast side of town that was looked at. The property with the city owns south of Truman Road. There's 4 acres there, was looked at, and no suitable site was found and so in my opinion, if council believes that a dog park is an important amenity to this community, we're never going to get a better option than this from a cost and everything standpoint, in my opinion.
I think the only rest that I have is this is clearly an asset for the lake and rural Pella. And So I politely disagree with the idea that Marion County isn't in on this deal in some shape or form. And try to guess what they're gonna do. I think it's at least part of their responsibility to consider Marion County benefiting amenities. That said, I don't wanna drag this on for this poor group of people that are passionate about this. But I also you wouldn't wanna lose it over dog doo-doo. And if there's passionate people about dog park, it seems to me there needs to be some sort of agreement with the people that are passionate about dog park to be able to do.
Well, from a city staff standpoint, if this thing was in town, if we found a site, we did it in town, we would use way more city staff than we're gonna use here, because we're not mowing it, we're not maintaining it, we're not moving snow, we're going out there to check on it. Our staff is going out there, so this, and again, I guess I don't have strong feelings, but if council wants to support a dog park in Pella, which I get asked about a dog park a lot, I think this is a very viable, and it's gonna be the cheapest option, and I think the least headache option for us, for the city.
And I think I understood what Spencer was saying. I think that he and I we both agree on the fact that I feel like I need more definitive responsibilities of all the entities involved. You know, I took a lot of comfort in the rec center when Pella Rec stood up and said, here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna support. We're gonna walk alongside and do all these things. I felt really good about that. And because I had an outline of what their responsibilities were and what the ultimate goal is. Where I also go a little sideways when I read in our packet that this project could delay the indoor recreation and aquatic center, the community center renovation, Charles Farber Park, which, I'm sorry, I've been waiting for 8 years for that, and Codwell Park ice rink chiller, all of which that are in city limits proper. I'm not saying that I don't think this is a good idea. I think that this is one of those projects that, because we're dealing with animals and we're dealing outside of our city limits, that really have to have more definition to what we're looking at. So I guess I'm saying before I would vote yes, I would have to have staff do a deeper dive.
Fair enough, and I like that, this is a very good point, but I'd like to elaborate on that part about the staff. Heidi, if you want to go to the next slide, I think we have on there as well. What we're really trying to say with the agreement is a lot of times there's a lot of great projects in Pella, and we're proud partners in a lot of projects. Oftentimes project, and when people come and they hear council supportive of it, they assume things are going to get done right away. Well, right now, as council is aware, we're operating without 2 department heads, and staff below them is doing a great job. That's our community services director and public works director. But I foresee that if we can get those 2 positions filled and at least get back to full staff, it'd be advantageous to keep the project on board. Until that time, it's tough to take on. It'd be difficult for us to take on a new project. And so that's why I wasn't able to put a timeline on it. And my thoughts are maybe the memo was on there, but if this was a high priority of the city on it, so we may have to make a decision on other projects right now. And right now I can tell you we're working very heavily on the rec center and the operations of the rec center, trying to get that established. Also, a lot of work's going on in the community center. Charles Farber Park, we're in the process of buying materials for the conduits to bury power lines this year, and there's going to be a lot of work on Charles Farber Park. The ice rink chiller, the group Spirit of Pella is moving forward with the project. As our understanding, is very likely to move forward. It could be operational this year as well, so we anticipate that project going on. And so what we're saying is that the started right away, it would be difficult for us to take on another project being short-staffed.
So what, Christie, if we would approve this, what is your expectation as far as follow-through time, and what is the Corps' expectation? Because maybe our timing is so different.
I can't really speak for the Corps. All I know is when Jeanette was here and we met with the Corps the first time out on the land, it seemed like if there was fence in the back of the truck, they would have started building.
Right.
They really want
Right.
us out there. We've waited this long, and we don't feel it would be responsible to our donors to start raising money again
Right.
until there's a definite commitment from the city. So as far as a timeline, I can tell you that at one point at the end of last year, our board, including myself, was so ready for either a yes from city council or a no, that we put a deadline out saying this is about when our patience is up.
Right.
And if we can't have an answer, and if it's not feasible, and of course this is your decision, and we will respect that. But we would like an answer, yes or no, so that if it's a no, then we will donate that money to maybe Marion County Animal Shelter or some other 501c3, so that that money is not just sitting, not being used. We're trying to be responsible stewards with that money, and we do feel an obligation because a lot of people have donated. But as far as a timeline, I can't really answer that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's get on with it.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
That means we need more information.
Yeah,
Well,
I know that,
I
but
mean-
if you get the information you want, get your questions answered, are we gonna support the project?
I am.
Okay. Anyone else wanna volunteer? If they're gonna support or
I
not,
have
because.
a question with the Pella Rec, we have a 28E agreement, don't we, with them? We do. So we would need something like that from,
With the Army?
well, with the Pella Dog Park Association.
Yeah, and one of
Or
the different.
a guarantee. And spelled out, in here it says they're not willing to pick up dog waste, I just heard that they would pick up dog waste, so we need to get it exactly what's each party's gonna do.
May I speak to that, please?
Sure.
It's not that we don't want to pick it up. I mean, I'm not saying we're dying to pick up dog waste. We don't want to be contractually obligated to pick up dog waste on a routine basis. So the way that the partnership agreement was worded, we objected to that.
Well, that's a challenge for our budget to run out and spend more money and an unknown amount of money. And there's some other things that I've heard about. I don't know much about dog parks, but I have heard that they need to be sprayed for disease control or fleas or whatever. And I did go look at the rules. Knoxville's got quite a set of rules, and they charge a fee too, so they collect a fee.
I'd be happy to speak to that if you would allow. When I talked with Bondurant today, she said they do not spray. I believe it was Waukee. She did not think they sprayed. Johnson does not spray. So there probably are some out there that spray, and there are some, and some that I talked to today that charge fees. There are certain softwares, BarkPass for example, that if the council wanted to raise some revenue and have a $5 day pass, that can all be done online quite easily, she assured me. The lady that I talked to, she handles it personally and said it's very simple, $25 per person per year if you're a resident and $45 if you're not a resident. You could handle it that way, you could do a free park. But those are all considerations that as a dog park committee or association, we would be happy to try to do the legwork so that you didn't have to. We would try our best to create that culture of responsibility and have no expectation of city staff or core staff picking up dog waste. That should be on owners. And if the dog waste bags are provided, that should be on the owners to be responsible for their own dog waste.
But we don't, that's a hard thing to enforce. It's a responsibility thing, not an enforceable thing.
Correct, and it seems like that was a problem at one point downtown, and so if I'm not mistaken, it seems like there were some dog waste stations installed, is that correct? And hopefully that has helped, but that's probably an issue, wherever you have pets and people, that's going to be an issue, whether it's at the dog park or whether it's on a city sidewalk. Most people are responsible. Occasionally there's somebody who's not. And same with the liability issue. It would be wonderful if we could partner with the Spirit of Pella and that insurance issue would be taken care of, and hopefully that will pan out. But I'm sure that you have to deal with liability, and I know it's a headache, so I wish I had a magic wand for that one.
I don't think it's necessarily a City of Pella dog park, just by geography, and if we have to comment on priorities for city staffing with our current situation, I like the current listing you have here of these issues. I think dog park's a great amenity. I think it's very important. It doesn't feel like a City of Pella dog park. It feels like Red Rock dog park, which is a great spot for a dog park. But so as I've already voiced, I think there is a conversation to be had in Marion County. I think it's a cheap dog park from a City of Pella perspective on this upfront side. I would rather have City of Pella employees taking care of City of Pella property, not necessarily leased property in federal ground.
I thought those were very good points. I just have a lot of puzzlement about this, but I would love, Chandler, I put John on the spot. Is there anything you would like to say, since this is your department that we're speaking about? I feel like that's only fair.
Sure. For those who don't know me, Chandler Manico, City of Pella Parks Manager. I'll start out with, I have 3 dogs. I love dogs. The biggest question is, if City of Pella staff is going out there to do maintenance, what are we gonna give up on the backside? We're already tapped for work. We really cannot take on any more work. You were referring to the library and getting the landscape cleaned up. That was due because it rained. If it doesn't rain, we are in water trucks all summer long. You guys have seen us out there. And then when all of the part-time staff leave, that falls on the backs of the full-time staff. So in the end, if we are going out there, it's gonna be really hard to rely on seasonal staff. If we go out there and do maintenance to do work, in the end it's gonna fall on, the seasonal staff are hard to find. We all here, Alex, Kevin, and I have a hard time finding seasonal staff outside of summertime. So in the end, when the work would happen, if the City of Pella staff is gonna go out there and do maintenance, it's gonna fall on the full-time staff. Which in the end, we're gonna have to give up some duties to go out there on federal ground. I really appreciate what Mike has put up there with all the possible and upcoming projects coming on. For park staff is the Charles Farber Park. That will be a huge undertaking for the Pella staff. Just today, we are ordering 140,000 tulip bulbs. Costing a lot of money. We have the rec center coming on. What I'm saying is, I'm all for dogs, but we're gonna have to give up some work in order to go out there to do that work. If that
Or
makes
get
sense.
more staff.
Or get more staff. Which, that's where the $8,000 came up with, was seasonal staff to go out there 3 times a week, 2 hours a day. But finding that seasonal staff to go do that, I'm sorry, will be very hard to find.
All right, well, this discussion's going places we don't need to go at this point. Let's bring it back.
Thank you.
Is there an appetite to pursue this as a potential dog park the City of Pella is gonna be involved with. If not, then we owe Christie and their group we're not interested in this project. Or do we press forward without any promise of a timeline, but we could support it if we get the questions answered? And, so, 4 of you have to say yes.
Yes.
I will
No,
support it, because everything I need to support, but I'm not gonna vote on it, but
Right.
I will support it.
I love
If
the
you guys
way
support it.
that you concluded that statement. When it said, right now, Christie, I have more questions than I have answers. And so, if I got more information, no promise of a timeline, looking at what we're facing and looking, we had a rough budget season, but I would be interested in getting my questions answered. And at that point, with those pivotal questions, I think I would be able to make a more educated decision. So I'd say I want answers. I would like answers, please.
Tentatively supported. I was under the impression we were going to support it financially. I have great reservations with having our staff work out there.
Yeah, I had the same understanding of that too, that we were gonna pony up some money and pretty much that was it.
So the ongoing responsibility for something, you know, what we've heard tonight, I think it's less responsibilities than I thought originally, based on cleaning up the dog waste, but, so I guess we need to give direction here, whether we keep moving forward. You have all these questions, Lynn, who do you think should provide the answers?
I think our attorneys should provide the answers. I think that we have questions for the federal ground people. I think that Chandler did a good job of expressing departmentally how he felt he could handle it. Mine are legal. I have real trepidation legally.
Okay.
And that's where I'm at. Concept is nice.
Okay. Well, you know, it's gonna take some staff time to get those questions answered legally.
Yeah, I agree.
So, if we could figure out, our legal responsibility or our liability issues, and, then perhaps we would be willing to support the project, this particular project.
Mayor, we could be back on August 19th, because I know the auditors law firm did do an analysis. It wasn't Emily, it was another attorney. We pull that back up and be prepared to discuss that on the 19th.
Could Emily be here on the 19th as well?
We can invite her down.
Okay. Let's do that. So we'll have some legal advice on the 19th. Hopefully we can come to some resolution with keep moving forward. This is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. All right.
If you just look at that list, Chandler's gonna need more staff.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
That's a whole
Well,
nother
it
discussion.
depends, if he needs more staff, it just depends on how much we are doing.
Yeah.
So I think the Dog Park Association needs to come back with a real good list of what they can do.
Well, do you want to give?
Well, I don't think we should do that now.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Because if the legal questions don't come back,
Good.
then
Kick this around.
why waste anybody's time?
Yeah.
Okay, volunteer firefighter retirement plan. All right.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the last item we have on the agenda tonight is recently the state of Iowa has passed legislation that allows for volunteer firefighter, emergency responders, retirement fund. And basically, it's our understanding the project, the program's in its infancy on it, but the intent of it is for the state to match up retirement contributions to volunteer firefighters or emergency responders accounts up to $500 per year per participant annually. So, simple example, if the city contributes $500 to a retirement account, the state would contribute $500 to the retirement account. Since the program has just been initiated, we're still in the process of researching it, but what we thought we would do is talk with council to see if there's interest in potentially adopting the program. We realize we don't have all the information this evening, but we think it may be a nice incentive for emergency responders that donate a lot of time to the City of Pella on an annual basis. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Chief Bogart. Chief, if you could talk a little bit from the fire department's perspective on this, please.
Sure. First of all, thank you for putting this on the agenda tonight, and thank you to Mayor and Council for considering it. This is something that the Firefighters Association has been lobbying for at the State House for quite some time. I think if you look statewide, we don't have it so much, but statewide it's been a problem recruiting and retaining firefighters, and this is used not only for its obvious monetary benefits to the firefighter himself, but also as a recruiting tool and a tool to help retain firefighters stay in service because years of service are rewarded. So that was the thought process behind it. I think the Firefighter Association looked at it as a huge win when they secured the state funding, and now it's down to this level where we're discussing it here. So thank you for considering it.
Would this include police volunteers?
Say that again, please.
Would this include police volunteers?
Yes, police reserves and volunteer EMTs as well.
Wow. Awesome.
Sounds like a good idea.
I do too. It's great.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Let's pursue it. All right, anything else? All right, do I have a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter 388.9, Paragraph 1, to discuss marketing and pricing strategies of proprietary information of the city utility if its competitive position would be harmed by public disclosure not required potential or actual competitors, and if no public purpose would be served by such disclosure.
So,
Brander, Horst?
Support.
Been tried.
Yes.
All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Randallhurst,
yes.
Dan Stryland.
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Butler,
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed, so we are entering into closed session, so almost all of you are gonna have to leave. If you wanna hang around till we come back to closed session, I don't think we'll probably have a motion out of this closed session, but we will invite you back in. Session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Stryland, support. Carlstone. All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Mandy, please call the roll.
Dan Stryland.
Yes.
Carlstone.
Yes.
DeYoung,
Yes.
Branderhorst.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Motion passed, we are adjourned.